Everybody online is talking about whether we are entering into a recession here in the US, globally. We've been talking about this for months, if not a couple of years now, and we might already be in a recession as of the time you're hearing this. I don't know. Do I know when or where it's coming or how long it'll last? No, I don't know the future, but what matters more to me is understanding how do we conduct ourselves and how do we run our businesses in light of a potential recession so that we can navigate the recession if and when it comes, because it likely will come, so we come out on the other side healthier. So let's talk about what you and I can control instead of all the scary gloom and doom out there that we can't control. Let's discuss. Welcome to episode 166 of The Graham Cochran Show, where I'm here to help you build your online business, work less, and live and give more to the things and people you care about. I'm your host, Graham Cochran, pumped to hang out with you today. If you're listening to this on your favorite podcasting platform, thanks for popping me in your ears for a moment and diving in deeply wherever you are. And if you're watching on YouTube, I appreciate you as well. Love all the comments and feedback. It's been great to see and hear. And if you're struggling with this whole recession thing or all this recession talk, we're going to talk about that today. But one thing you can actually do in advance of a recession or in spite of a recession to mitigate the situation for yourself and make your life better out on the other side is to start an online business. If you haven't already, create an alternate stream of income outside of your employment or even outside of your current service-based business. Having multiple streams of income is the secret. And so what I want to do is help you build another stream of income, specifically at least $1,000 a month of passive income in just 30 minutes a day of work. I've got an entire free video workshop on this. It's an on-demand class you can watch. Just go to grahamcochran.com/workshop whenever you're ready to access that training. If you're watching on YouTube, I'll link to it below as well. It's going to walk you through the 4 components you need to build that $1,000 a month of income and how you can scale it up from there. It's one of the best things you can do to hedge yourself against any economic recession in the future is to have multiple streams of income. grahamcochran.com/workshop. Okay, can we talk about the recession for a second? Oh my gosh. First off, disclosure, I am not an economist and I do not know the future and I will never act like I know the future because nobody does. Second of all, let's talk about what a recession is briefly, loosely. I'm not an economist. I'm not going to get into the specifics of it, but then let's talk about the implications of it for you and me, which is all that really matters. Okay, recession. Recession is really a slowing down of economic activity, and that could be measured in like GDP, gross domestic product, like how much actual like creation of wealth and production is our country seeing. It can be measured in employment. Is there a lot of unemployment, like high unemployment, so people don't have jobs, or is unemployment low, so most people are working? Are people spending money in the economy? There's all kinds of factors. But generally speaking, a recession is a period of time where people are fearful, they're losing jobs, there's not as much output and not as much money changing hands, and people are just sort of receding into themselves, and the economy is shrinking a little bit. And on the extreme end, you have a depression, right? Where everything is just like flattened. We haven't had a depression in the US since the late 1920s, early 1930s. We got real close during 2007, 2008, 2009. That was the Great Recession. So let's think about this for a second. First of all, recessions are very normal. Did you know that? They are normal. They happen anywhere between 5 to 10 years, every 5 to 10 years. Some people say every 3.5 years. There might be super mild recessions, but at least once a decade, there is a solid recession. And there have been dozens and dozens and dozens of recessions in our country's history in the United States. And if you're in a different country, you've probably had recessions as well. These are normal. Everything is cyclical. This is not the end of the world, friends. First of all, I don't think any recession that's coming will be anything like what we had in 2008. That was very intense, very intense. And second of all, we bounced back from it because that's what the economy does. That's what human beings do. We adjust. And that's all the economy is as human beings. So first of all, they happen all the time. They are regular. They are part of the boom and bust cycle. Things go up, things go down. Nothing is a straight line, down or up. Second of all, we don't know when they're going to come or how long they're going to last or how painful they're going to be. So stop worrying about it. You can't control it. Neither can I. Doesn't matter. What matters is what you and I do in light of it. And one of the questions that I get is the online business market, online courses, content, that kind of stuff, is it heavily affected by a recession? In one sense, you could argue it is. If people have less discretionary income to spend, they're not going to spend it on an online course. Or maybe they will, because maybe that online course will get them to the next level financially or help them out in any area that they need help in. Let's go back in time just 2 short years ago. The year was 2020. The world was falling apart because of COVID. People were locked down. There was no economic activity happening. The stock market plunged. It was looking disastrous. And yet what happened? If you were an online business owner selling online courses in March or April or May of 2020, you made a crap ton of money, my friend, because more people spent money on courses when it all fell apart than fewer. It was crazy. And they were spending money on courses that had nothing to do with making money. They were spending money on my music courses. They were spending money on learning a foreign language. They were spending money on arts and crafts courses. I have students who sell like how to paint or do watercolor. Those people made a ton of money. Baking courses, cooking courses, dance courses. Those people made a ton of money. Why? Because people needed something to do and people were investing in themselves. And an online course is a low cost investment. We could argue that there was stimulus money and Biden and people were just writing checks. Yes, I get it. But people were spending like a little bit of money, $97 to learn how to do something or lose weight or get in shape. Like that is a low ticket investment for like life change or joy or happiness. In fact, when recessions happen, sure, people, they pull back on some of their spending, but they also want to enjoy themselves. Because it's so doom and gloom outside, they want to enjoy themselves and love on themselves. So they will still spend money on themselves, believe it or not. So I don't think you have to actually fear a recession if you're an online business owner. I think you will actually thrive in a recession. I'm going to get to this in a minute when we wrap up this episode, but I'd like to point out that my business was started in the Great Recession. When nobody had money, when everyone was like running around like Chicken Little with the skies falling, is when my business started to take off. We had not come out of the recession when my business took off. It took off selling to musicians, hobbyists during a global recession. So let's get practical here. What are the 3 key things that you need to have in place for your business to be fully recession proof? Assuming you've already started. Very simple. Number 1, you need cash reserves, okay? You should always have cash reserves. I think you should have 3 to 6 months of your business operating expenses minimum in the bank, in your business account. Ideally, have 3 to 6 months of your business expenses plus your salary in the bank. That would be phenomenal. When there's boom times, please don't spend it all because the bust times are coming. And there certainly is a chance that things could dip down for a month or 2 or 6. That could happen. So what you want, the only way to protect against uncertainty when it comes to financially is cash. Just have cash, okay? So look at your cash position. How much cash do you have in the business that's not tied up in anything, that's not set aside for anything? It's not for your taxes. It's not to pay your bills. It's not to pay any employers or contractors. What excess cash do you have? And do you have 3 to 6 months of what it would take to keep the lights on in your business, to pay for your Kajabi, to pay for your web hosting if you don't have Kajabi, to pay for any contractors that you employ, to pay for whatever other tools you use online? There should be low cost. But do you have 3 to 6 months of that minimum in cash? Number 2, do you have what I call need to have products, not nice to have products? Now, don't mishear me. When I say need to have, I don't mean something that's like, well, people need this to survive or make money versus like a course about how to play piano is a nice to have. That's not what I mean. I mean products that are so irresistible because of your research. You've created a product that real people really want, your positioning in the marketplace, and your offer, which will include your sales copy and all that kind of stuff, but your price, the way it's presented, the way it's sold. You want at least one product that's dialed in on all of those levels. It's what people want because of your research. It's the right offer at the right price, the right positioning. You want it dialed in. You want a bestseller. You want a perennial bestseller. Not all of your products are going to be that, newsflash. Not all of mine are that, but you want at least one perennial bestseller that you can lean on, because when things get tough and they get tight, you need a product that is a seller. It's a killer. Like, you know, if you offer this, people will buy it and people will get results and they will love it. That might be the thing you lean on when things get tight. Some of your other products might fall, like some of your premium products, people might not join. They might cancel your mastermind. They might not go for that premium one-on-one coaching, but do you have a core product that's just a killer and it sells well? If you don't, figure out what that is and dial it in so it's ready to go. And then number 3, this is practical. Don't mishear me. This is a mindset. You need a positive long-term view. You need to not be so focused on the news. So stop watching the news. Stop listening to people who have no idea what's coming down the pike, which is everybody, because none of us do. We're all looking for indicators, and we have the smartest people in the world looking at all the signs and indicators, and they don't always get it right. 9 times out of 10, they don't get it right. So if they can't get it right, you and I can't get it right, and the talking heads on the news can't get it right, stop paying attention to them and instead look past the recession, because it's going to come if it's not already here, and then it's going to go away. And then another one's going to come in 5 to 7 to 10 years after that, and then that's going to go away. Look at a 10 to 20 year time horizon minimum and think, am I in the business I want to be in? Am I creating content that I love? Am I in this for the long haul? What are my long-term goals? The recession that happens this year or next year or whenever has no bearing on your goals 20 years from now. It shouldn't, at least. So have a long-term view, number 1, and have a positive long-term view. If you're freaked out about a recession, you need to become a history major. You need to go back, just Google major recessions or all recessions in the United States or whatever your country is, and just look at them. Look at them. Because A, they've happened, and B, they've ended, and C, our country's become more prosperous in the wake of them, right? Warren Buffett talks about the stock market at the beginning of the 20th century and the end of the 20th century. And the 20th century was an awful century. Multiple world wars. You had presidents assassinated in our country, the Cold War, so much stuff, the Great Depression. And yet the Dow Jones Industrial Stock Market average was like, I don't know the math, like 20 times at the end of the century than it was at the start. You had all this craziness happening in the world, and yet the stock market went up at the end. Because that's what economies do. The stock market is a reflection of companies, and companies selling products to people buying products from companies. That's economy, that's economic activity. We are going to be fine. It might be crazy right now, just like the Great Recession was crazy. Literally, people were losing their minds like, this is the end. The banking system's going to collapse. Real estate's going to be worth nothing. It'll never come back. Stock's going to be worth nothing. It'll never come back. Everything's come back way more than ever. And then we had coronavirus. Oh, COVID, the stock market's down. It's never going to come back. And the stock market roared back. And you can pinpoint, well, it's because of this. It's because of that. Yes, it's always because of something. That's my point. Every recession's different. Every economic collapse is different. So it's not the same thing or same reasons why it collapses. And it's not the same reasons why it bounces back. But the pattern is there. It will collapse and it'll bounce back. It's a cycle. So look past it. Have a positive long-term view. It's better for your health as well. Now, 3 major things to stay away from in a recession. Number 1, it's not the time for experimentation with the big things that are moving your business forward. Now, experiment with little things. If there is a major recession, people are getting scared, or they're not spending money, or whatever, you can offer them a deal, like bundle some products together, or teach your material in a new way, or teach it live and sell live access to it instead of you can experiment in little ways, but do not fundamentally change your business model. Do not change your content strategy. Do not change your funnel strategy. Do not change the core products that you offer. Nothing should change. You should be stable. This is not the time to play with things on a major level. Play with things on a small level. So don't experiment on a major level. If you haven't already, you want to diversify your business income. So don't be locked in to one form of income, right? This is the time to start adding some other things. If you haven't already launched a membership or some kind of recurring revenue product, now's probably a good time to do it. Get people in the door, create a community that you can serve powerfully every single month through live coaching, community access, some new content that drips out every month. Get them to sign up now so their card will be charged every single month and add so much value that they don't want to cancel. So you want to stay away from locking into just one income stream. You want to diversify. And here's the other thing you want to stay away from. You want to stay away from being completely tone deaf to what's happening. So if things become real serious, like let's go back 2 years ago when COVID happened, I didn't want to act like it wasn't happening. So what I did was I looked at my email funnel, for example, and I just adjusted some of the language in some of those initial emails of acknowledging this is an interesting time right now, a little uncertain time right now. And so some of the positioning, some of the angle of have your, passive income style business, it didn't resonate. It would have seemed tone deaf then because people didn't care about passive income. All they cared about was stability and to be able to make income. So I just changed some of the language in some of the emails and a couple of lines in my sales copy on my sales page for my course, let's say Automatic Income Academy, to focus on in uncertain times, it's better now than ever to have diversified income streams, to have other ways of making a living online, to protect yourself in light of what's happening in the world. And so I just adjusted some of the language so it would speak more profoundly to people during an economic collapse. That'll help your identity, your brand still seem trustworthy, relatable, aware. You don't have to talk about it all the time. I hate talking about the news, but you might just need to just look at all your language and make sure that it's not tone deaf. A side note to that, when things get hard, and if they do get really hard again, whether you are in the business space or economic space, or you're in the fitness space or the dating space, doesn't matter. You are a brand that people are connecting with and they trust you. They're going to look for the voices in their life to guide them. And this is where I want you to view yourself as more than just a content creator around your niche or subject. You are a shining light in the darkness. You have an opportunity when people get scared, they look for people to lean on, to give guidance and wisdom to. You can speak to some of these issues in your content, in your email list, in your products, as somewhat of an authority in the sense that you're a real person going through similar things. Speak to it. Be a voice of encouragement. Be a voice of calm. Be a voice of positivity, because people are going to look for someone they trust to lean on. And interestingly enough, if you might be in the dating space and they trust you and they feel like you're an advocate, and dating has nothing to do with an economic slowdown or recession, but if they trust you and you speak to it just a little bit, you don't have to get on a soapbox, you don't have to become political, you don't have to become an economist, but if you just speak to it a little bit, kind of like I'm doing now, it creates more trust with your audience. And when there's trust, they'll buy more. And it's interesting, they're going to look for that. They're going to look for someone to speak into what's happening now, and they're open to it coming from any kind of place. And so do not think that your people only want to hear about your subject or niche. They also are interested in your thoughts on what's happening in the world. And again, you can be as open or as closed about that as you desire, but I think there's a lot of relational equity that's built and relational capital that's stored up when you come out and speak about some of these things from a place of peace, calm, positivity, and encouragement. It can go a long way. Final thought. Having gone through a recession myself, and actually having built my business during the greatest recession we've seen since the Great Depression of the 1930s, here's what I've learned. Recessions create millionaires. They just do. I am one of those millionaires that was born out of the Great Recession, and I'm not alone. There's so many companies that were started in the Great Recession, so many online businesses that were started in the Great Recession. This is something I love about Warren Buffett, and he applies it to investing in the stock market, but you can apply it to business in general. He says, when everyone's greedy be fearful. And when everyone's fearful, be greedy. And what he means by that is in the stock market, when everyone's really hot on the market, like, oh my gosh, you can't lose money. It's going up and up and up. And they're being greedy and they're just buying up more. You should probably slow down and be like, we're probably at the top of a bubble. I'm not saying you shouldn't invest, but be fearful, be a little cautious. Because if everyone's like drinking the Kool-Aid and they're drunk on the unending like income that's coming in stock market numbers, something's about to happen. And the opposite is true. And this is where we've been lately. When everyone's fearful, like, oh my gosh, the market's going down, get out, get out, get out. That's when you want to be buying because everything's on sale, right? That's when you want to be greedy. I've been buying so much into the market in recent months because the market's been down from the ultra highs, the record highs last year. But I think this applies more broadly to the economic landscape. When there's a recession and everyone's fearful, oh, businesses are shutting down or I could never launch a business, that is the time, assuming you have cash reserves and some resolve, to like press deeper into your business, serve people more powerfully, try new ideas that will help people, try new content, like dive deeper, build bigger. If people are like selling stuff, buy it. If people are getting rid of their domain names that you want, buy them. Sometimes those are on sale. If you have online businesses shuttering because they're afraid, like you can become the leader in your niche. If you just step up, raise your hand and go all in. Like you will be rewarded. Recessions are just a pause in economic activity. And if you wait for that pause to end, you already have missed the boat. Like you need to jump out in front. When people are pausing, you'll be more noticed. You'll get more of the attention, which will help you build your brand faster. So again, the last major recession was devastating. I was on food stamps. I know I lost 2 jobs that year in 2009. And that's when I started my business and I went all in. I built as many products as I could. I built as much content as I could. And I built a phenomenon in my niche that became $1 million a year business and launched a second $1 million a year business and gave me an entirely new life and turned me into a millionaire. And I'm not the only one and I'm not that special. I didn't even know what I was doing. If it's possible for me when I don't even know what I'm doing, think about what's possible for you when you have every resource at your fingertips in my YouTube channel and content alone, let alone all the other amazing people creating content around this subject. So don't be fearful of a recession. Be confident. Be opportunistic. Go all in. Serve people more powerfully because people will need to be served more than ever because they're going to be afraid. They're going to be introspective. And that's when you can show up and build your brand and take it to another level. So let me know what you think. Are we already in a recession or is one coming? And if so, how are you preparing your business to be successful in the coming recession? So you come out the other side stronger, more profitable, and having more fun in the process. Let me know in a comment below. I'd love to know your thoughts. I'm here for you. Don't be afraid. You've got this. We're going to get through it. We're going to come out on the other side better. And you're going to serve a ton of people. And that's ultimately what it's about. It's not about you. It's not about me. It's about your customers and your students. So go serve them when they need you the most, either to help with their finances during a recession, if that's what you help people with, or to get their mind off of it and help them in all the other areas of their life that they want help with and need help with. And if you haven't already built your online business to diversify your income from your job or your service-based business, now's the time to go watch my on-demand workshop, my passive income workshop, to learn how to get paid for what you know, turn that into an income stream of $1,000 a month or more in just 30 minutes a day. Just go to grahamcochran.com/workshop. Or if you're watching on YouTube, click the link in the description below. It's free. Please go watch it. I beg you, it'll help you. It's super didactic, a lot of good juicy stuff you can use right now. That's it, my friend. Have an amazing rest of your week. I cannot wait to see you on another episode real soon.